Hello, and welcome to the Block Solid podcast, where we talk about the evolution of the property market, the newest technologies that enhance and revolutionize the world of real estate as we know it, and how we, the owners, the buyers, the renters, the investors, and the entrepreneurs can benefit from it all. I'm Yael Tamar, co-founder of Solid Block, pioneer in real estate tokenization, and I'd like to welcome Felix Mago as my special guest on today's episode. Hi, Felix. How you doing?
Yeah, it's my big pleasure. Great to be here. I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Very, very cool. So you're the co-founder of Next and Thailand, right? Both of which are DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. And we're going to talk about what those are. Where are you talking to us from today?
I'm based in Bangkok, so traveling is not an option right now. So I'm here since the last year, actually, only doing virtual events.
Very cool. And where are you from?
I'm originally German, from Berlin. You mentioned it's two DAOs. I mean, I don't want to be, it's a very confusing, with all these terms and what's the right term and blah, 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 blah. And honestly, nobody outside of any community seems to understand all these communities anymore. So you really have to dig deep, right? But in fact, Next and Thailand and also Philippines, we co-founded are funded organizations. They are funded by the DAO, right? Essentially, the part in that is considered to be the DAO is the mechanism of distributing the treasury, right? So it's basically everything that has to do with the financials runs through the DAO. So people have to request into the DAO to be funded, and this is how we started here.
Amazing. And for everybody who heard that they just were talked to in Chinese, don't worry, we're going to get into it from the very beginning. And I want to talk a bit about your bio, Felix, because I think it's very interesting. Felix describes himself as the driving force behind DeFi. What is DeFi? Decentralized Finance. And we'll talk about it. And crypto adoption, and is one of the movers and shakers in the crypto space today. He holds a master's degree in political science from the Freie Universitat Berlin, or how you say it in German?
Freie Universitat Berlin, close one.
That's much better.
Not bad.
And worked as the lecturer at the SRH, Berlin School of Design and Communication. He worked in marketing research, digital banking, and crypto space. His interests span marketing research, information technology, decentralized and tokenized projects, blockchain, and crypto. And they merged in the founding of his companies, about which he's going to talk about extensively on this podcast. Now, DAO, right? We talked about DAO a little bit. It means the framework of the organization mirrors the currency, and that there is no hierarchy in either. Your goal for Dash, as I read, is an altcoin that has forked from the Bitcoin protocol to be used as easily as cash and gives incentives to people to use it. The goal is to scale, grow, and accelerate Dash merchant adoption and consumer activation to the next level. You said that you want to be payment solution everywhere in the world. Now, Felix's claim to fame includes writing the Bitcoin Handbook in German, and he is a frequent panelist and speaker at global virtual conferences on blockchain, crypto, and building these DAOs. Now, let's explain it to me like I'm 5, Felix. DAO, hierarchy, Bitcoin protocol. Give me a few minutes about what you do.
Wow, that was really most amazing. You did a very impressive research here. So let's take that apart and let's dissect it a bit of what these different parts mean. One thing to add, the last thing I didn't probably put in my LinkedIn profile, I was just helping Alex from UCLA to teach DeFi at UCLA. So I'm really lost into DeFi for about 1 year now.
Hopefully you'll find your way back in even further, right? I was going to say way out, but yeah, keep getting lost.
Yeah, I don't know if you want that. The beautiful thing is, and honestly, that's how it all starts. And I think that's what everybody can relate to, right? In my personal, humble opinion, I'm busy with what I do like all day long until I go to sleep, from when I wake up to when I go to sleep. And I feel I basically never work because I do all day long what I really enjoy so much. So I can't even get enough. When I go to the gym, I listen to a crypto podcast because I love it.
And which crypto podcast do you
listen? There's so many. The Epicenter one for many years, Bankless, the Billionaires podcast. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Nice.
It's not hard to find good content. But if you have passion and if you start with something, you have a different relationship. And for me, what is one of the major passionate elements where I'm coming from and from all the work experience I had before. Maybe let me start like that. And I think people might relate to what a DAO actually is. A DAO is a very radical concept, but you just said it. If I start talking in abstract terms, it's like gibberish for people who don't know. So I come from a world where I was a consulting in banking and innovation. I was helping companies, especially in the SAP context, to become more digital, which sounds very easy. And if you look at many simple things, take a bank, for example, people come there, people ask for a loan. What happens, right? Usually they are kind of computer-based, paper-based processes. That means you will call someone and ask them like, hey, what do I have to do? Blah, blah, blah. They say, okay, you go to this webpage, you print out this document, and then you fill out this document, you send it to us, right? It comes to this bank, somebody will start putting the paper back into the computer, and then they will print it out because they have more questions to the customer, send it per post. And this is like a ridiculous process, right? We're in 2020 and still this would be the normal thing to find in most, especially in Europe and most European banks, right? Mm-hmm. So plus I was working in a company who, with the boss who told me, you have to go there, you have to go to this bank, you have to wear a suit, blah, 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 right? You had these conversations with people and suddenly people start realizing, oh my God, actually, when I don't have this job or this task to put the paper in the computer anymore, what actually am I doing here in my job, right? So people were, the moment we started to change that, already became a bit scared of that things are changing and that they might not be as relevant or whatever, right? Which is usually not even you will find a way, you will find new tasks, right? It's a matter of how.
Usually there are new tasks created with new technologies, in fact.
Exactly.
New job.
So in all the settings we are used to, it's usually a setting where you have a boss, where somebody is deciding, where decisions are made on a way that are rather opaque. You cannot really know exactly the details. It's a matter of roles. It's a matter of definitions, of power distribution within the company. And all this reflects then in the salary discrepancies, right, of all the people within an organization. The guy on the top has so much, right, where the people cleaning the floor, there's a big gap of everything, right? Mm-hmm. And every organization will be like that, right? If you want to participate in that organization, you have to write an application, you go through HR, people ask you questions like, what is your greatest weakness? Why are you good for this job? Why should we hire you? Blah, 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 right? Yeah. And now suddenly 2014, when Dash started, there came the DAO, a radical new concept. So what does that mean? One of the things is the inclusion mechanisms, right? I don't have to apply with an application to an HR department anymore. There is an open source for everybody to see system in the internet where people can put proposals. What does that mean?
Love this.
Everybody can essentially say, hey, I have an idea. You have Dash. Okay. Dash is a digital currency with a payment focus because Dash stands for digital cash. Okay. So the frame is kind of set, right? So now everybody who has an idea can say, hey, I have an idea. In our case, the idea was to say, hey, we're in Asia. We want to do business development. We want to build merchant ecosystems. We want to showcase that you can pay with Dash. That means we have to onboard merchants, and then we have to tell that to the users to start spending Dash, right? So this was our first proposal when we kicked off Dash Thailand and say, here, we're in Asia. Thailand is a perfect tourism use case, one of the most visited countries in the world in terms of, tourist numbers, at least back when we started. So after we put this proposal into what we call DAO, into this decentral organization, there are certain stakeholders who can vote for us. Who are these stakeholders? Again, in a normal company, this is some random person in HR, which might or might not pre-filter you to the next level, which is usually, I don't know, the guy, the chef of the department and his boss and so on. And usually have like 5 to 7 interview rounds. And it's completely unclear actually what happens to you, right?
Until you and also it's completely unclear to the company. I know as a company owner, what this person is going to be like. And, 50, in my career, it's 50-50. It's either they're a match or either they're absolutely horrible, So in the startup world, it's very difficult.
I mean, and it's an issue. It's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, you will not know, right? You will not know it. You can only guess, right? And you can make a good guess or whatever. In this case, it's different. The stakeholders in Dash who voting for these proposals are what we call masternodes. And masternodes are people who have skin in the game. What does that mean? You are able to vote for one proposal for each 1,000 Dash you lock away in a masternode. Dash, as of today, I think is $250. So this is $250,000 for one masternode. By the way, we just made like 100% jump in the last 2 days. So there is good vibes right now going on. But that means one of these votes costs really a lot of money, right? And that means you have skin in the game, and the whole reason behind it is saying, hey, if you have that much skin in the game, you are incentivized to make a good decision for this company, right? So if I see a proposal that seems, not worth funding, it will not be funded. Right. On the other hand, if people see and if we can communicate and show and prove that our work brings value to the network, people will vote for us, right? And so that way, I think we have
or just the hiring decision.
There is no hiring. That's the point. It's this way. It means there is no boss. This is the decision makers are the masternodes. This is the governance system, and it works in a way that there's a proposal cycle every 4 weeks. So every 4 weeks, you have to stand in front of the masternodes and say, this is the idea. This is what I did. This is what I delivered. Can I get the funding for next month? Yes or no? And you can even choose yourself. Do I need a project-based funding that is one time, 1 month, or do I need a cycle and continuous funding over a certain period of time?
Is there a budget overall, or, is it chaotic, or does the organization come up? No, there is no budget.
There is a budget, and what this funding comes from block rewards. Right. And this is also another important, great that you asked this question, because this is actually what we use for blockchain. In the Bitcoin blockchain, there are miners, and every block the Bitcoin blockchain produces, there is Bitcoins that are going out to the miner who found the next block, right? Mm-hmm. Dash came in and said, we have another idea. Why do we give that money, these block rewards, only to the miners? They are important, yes. But we have a second layer in there. And the second layer are masternodes. These masternodes have, number one, the job to validate transactions, to be essentially a paid service provider, and number two, to vote for the government system. And for that, they are incentivized by 45% of the block rewards, right? So, and then there is number three, the treasury. The block rewards go number one to the miners, number two to the masternodes, and number three to the treasury, and the masternodes vote on this treasury. So everything in Dash comes from these block rewards. And if I'm not mistaken, that's like 4,500 or something.
4,500 what? Nodes?
Dash per month.
Dash per month. Okay. And how many people work at the Dash DAO?
It's changing every month. There's a huge team, and we have a lot of teams around the world. Some of them regular, some of them, as I said, project-based, one time. So I would say the big proposals right now is Dash Core always, who are mostly based in the US, who are mostly responsible for developing the core solution, the core blockchain, but also have business development units, marketing units, financial units. There is Dash Incubator, a very big proposal we are now working together, which is essentially a development funding organization. So for developers who have idea to build something on Dash, there are certain, business development units like ours, Dash Next, probably right now the biggest one. But we have or had teams all around the world, in Nigeria, in Europe, all over the place. And we even launched something that is also very mind-blowing for me, the first basically decentralized venture fund, an ownerless venture fund, where this is the DIF, the Dash Investment Foundation. So basically a DAO that can invest into other projects. Right? But this is not a company. It's an ownerless venture fund, if you will.
Got it. So the DAOs that are operating in this way, decentralized organizations, are they registered anywhere? Is there a company, an LLC, LTD somewhere?
Dash itself is not registered. No, same like Bitcoin and same like Litecoin and all these other coins, right? It's not an organization. It's code in the internet, if you will. And these Dash funded organizations are completely different. It really depends how you want to set it up as somebody who runs their proposal, where you are in the world, what your requirements are, and so on and so on. Right? But this is for me another very mind-blowing and very fascinating thing right now. And I had the funniest discussions with lawyers or lawmakers or people for who this whole concept is so ridiculously abstract and new that they really have a hard time to break it down to the terms they know. At the end of the day, what does it mean? You can run huge corporations nowadays that are simply code in the internet, right? They don't need any local office. They don't need,
They don't pay taxes
to hire
either,
people. They don't. Also, the tax question is a thing that, I mean, who pays taxes, right? It's also not not a simple question, right? I mean, plus, if you look at companies like Apple, do they pay taxes if they move their operations to Ireland or something? It's a very complex topic, right?
Yeah, so they don't pay taxes, but their employees pay taxes. But in your scenario, I guess employees are paid in Dash, right? Into their wallet.
Of course, it's on you to pay taxes for your Dash. Of course, you have to take care for that. Sure. Okay. And that very much depends also on the country you're in, I mean, I think it's an open secret that if you're American, you have a hard time, whatever you do in crypto, right? Germans, for example, crypto is still considered somewhat like a Disney dollar, right? So you hold it 1 year, you don't pay taxes on it because it's not considered something like a futures trading or an Apple stock or something. And that doesn't only go for taxes, it goes for everything in crypto. And it's the funny thing, right? Depending where you are, it's very, very different. This is why being here in Asia is a completely different story and something you don't think about when you invest in Europe or when you are in the States, right? We have a currency market that is super scattered. We have so many different currencies where you have the whole US is US dollar, the whole Europe is euro, except Britain. Okay. But here you go to Malaysia, you have ringgit, you go to Singapore dollar, in Thailand, Thai baht, Korean won, Japanese yen, blah, 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 blah. And everything, has its own regulation, its own pitfalls, its own stance on the government. Everybody probably heard about India and the big battle. Is it legal? Is it not? So it was really a challenge for us, I got to say, to figure it out. And this is exactly what I said before. When you do crypto payments, at the end of the day, you want to have fiat on and off ramps.
Yeah.
So what you want is partners, legal, official, regulated partners that enable you these transfers, and they were not all there, but more and more, the more we went, the more they were there. And I think now there's basically no more currency we can't do, or almost no more currency we cannot do.
So you work with payment providers or point of sale systems? Who do you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just trying to find out the exact amount. The budget allocation, by the way, is 5,300 for this month.
Okay.
Not 4,500, so 5,300 dash.
5,300 dash, and that's, you multiply that by 250, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is the amount. In terms of payment providers, so the approach for us really is to work with as many partners, right? Because truth of the matter is, if you do payments, you are usually in a very regulated space. Right. And especially if you want to provide what I just mentioned, these fiat on and off ramps, because this is what still many people want and need, because cryptocurrency is volatile. Let's face it. And this is one of the most common feedbacks I got from merchants, because they have reservations against this volatility. And obviously it's a risk for them running business. So we wanted to get over this risk and say, okay, we give you the option. I'm super happy if the customer comes, pays in Dash, you keep the Dash because, hey, you see now it's 250, you just made a huge jump. That's good for you, but of course it's not me who runs the business, so they have to make this decision.
Yeah.
But we don't get all the payment licenses in the world, because nobody would, if that company like that, it doesn't make any sense for us to acquire these licenses all around the world. This is why we partner up, and we can easily integrate with everything.
Yeah. So the merchant can either keep Dash or they can right away cash out into their home currency, right? All right. And let's say, how many of these transactions do you get monthly?
Oh, it's a good question. I have to look up the current numbers. What I know is that these transactions go up over time, and I'm honestly very, very happy to see more and more people come out. I got to be honest, the challenge for us was even more to get people out of trading, right? We have this crypto phenomena that is super new, right? Many people came in. The persona obviously is rather, somewhat 20 to 35, rather male, rather educated, well, Western world, and so on. Right. So this is the target group. Obviously, this target group grew over the last years significantly and continues to grow by over 100% every year. But, there was only so many people who came out and used cryptocurrencies for anything else than speculation. Right. And I feel, honestly, since last year, we are a bit at the tipping point for many, many reasons, where people suddenly start to see crypto as something normal. Now you're seeing companies like Tesla opening and accepting Bitcoins for cars, right? So now we're at the point in time, as I see it, where more and more companies and merchants accept cryptocurrencies, where it's becoming more and more normal for people to own, not only for speculation, but also to earn cryptocurrencies, right? And this leads to a situation, the way I see it, where people more and more spend these cryptocurrencies.
Got it.
Right. So I'm actually happy that this is growing, and I'm hoping it will become much, much more normal. The more of these big corporations especially enter the space and accept crypto for payments.
Got it. Just going back quickly to the number you gave me, 5,300 in Dash. That's about $1 million, but I guess Dash right now is actually $261.51. So one Dash is $261?
Mm-hmm.
And you gave me 5,300 Dash. That's the budget. Okay. That's really interesting. So $1 million, right? $1 million. And where does that $1 million really come from? Are these masternodes buying Dash with dollars, or is that coming from the reserve? Like, because the organization has a huge budget, $1 million
These are block
a month.
rewards.
This is, by the way, a monthly, right? Not annual, just a monthly.
Yes, it's a monthly, and this is purely block rewards.
Yeah. Where does that money, where do these rewards come from? Do they come from nowhere? Let's say you mint them, or where did that? Yes.
Same like Bitcoin, same like most other OG protocols.
Got it. That's new currency generated. Okay. Very, very interesting. Fascinating. So tell me a little bit about your journey to blockchain and crypto from this political science and consulting background, and why you think you are the person who has created this Dash, what you're doing right now, and what kind of vision you have for the leadership of Dash for the future.
When does it start? Honestly, it's everybody tells you the story of this rabbit hole, right? And how they fell in the rabbit hole. And it's really what I said before. You find something, you find it so interesting, you can't get enough of reading more and more and more about it. So I remember the first time I was blogging for a tech outlet, and this thing called Bitcoin came up more and more often. Obviously, I think the first time I heard about it was to buy some software, and you had this offer, and it's like, what is it? And I was trying to buy some Bitcoin, just ending up in some weird forums where you definitely didn't want to wire your money. This was my first encounter. And we were like, but how do you buy it? It cannot be, why is everybody talking about it if it's so weird to buy this stuff? So I asked my editor-in-chief, do you know? No, I don't know. Okay, let's write a book. Let's take people on our journey, because we were really hyped about it. This could be something. And I also got to say, my narrative changed a lot since then, right? I was in this book, I was really, arguing that this currency will be big if people start using it and if you can pay it, right? And everybody was telling you this, we bought the first pizza with Bitcoin kind of story, right? Yeah. But this narrative changed like so many times in the last years. And probably it's not even the narrative that matters. It's important that we have one, and,
Yeah.
Probably all these narratives matter. You can even say like that, right?
As in the historical sense. I used to pay my employees in India with Bitcoin. Obviously, if I kept it, I would have been able to buy an airplane for myself today. For me, as a crypto and blockchain enthusiast, it was important for me to actually use it as the way it's supposed to be used. That's the truth. But I'm interested in understanding how you're different, your vision is different, and how Dash is different.
Okay. And also, let me clarify one thing. I'm not the co-founder. I came in around 2017, right? It's very important for Dash. We are a flat hierarchy, and we don't want that titling around and claiming stuff. We started here in Asia. I think we were basically the first official proposal entity in Asia, right? And again, our proposal started first with Dash Thailand, with we want to grow an ecosystem bottom-up approach. We managed that, I think, quite well. And, then we're very fast at the point where we say it's nice to be in Thailand, but crypto is a global thing. And a very important fact is that we are here in Asia, and blockchain is a very much, I go out and I meet you on a conference kind of business development, right? It's very much who you know and where you are and, who you like. So a lot of the partnerships we create come out of this leveraging our network effect, essentially, right? This is why we said, okay, the next logical step for us is to make a global partnership building and business development proposal, because especially me, I'm a lot around. Now it's a bit different, the story right now with traveling, as we all know, but you meet a lot of people, and this is really where you can leverage the network. And I think this is the value we brought, because from these events, from these partnerships, came a lot of integrations we were able to drive in the last years, right? So again, we are based here in Asia, the approach is global, and the hierarchies are super flat. So the more important or the more interesting question is actually, in an organization that is so decentralized, how the hell do you even keep up, right? With all these different, you could think they're completely unorganized entities and all, and this comes all back to you, right? It's not a very big learning if you're in a decentralized organization. There is no boss to tell you, you have to do it like that, right? You got to do it yourself. So what
That's
we
awesome.
do is we align with different teams in a weekly call to see updates from them, to see how can we align these business development angles, what is going on the dev side, how can we create, how can we tell the story around the technology from this storytelling and technology angle, what kind of partnerships are interesting, is there anything we can strategically align, and all that kind of thing. So that's really, really cool. Exciting, and I'm happy that has grown, because it was not there. Nobody does it if you don't team up with people and do it yourselves.
No, everybody definitely has personal responsibility. It reminds me of the holacracy movement back in the 2000s. I read a book by Tony Sia, may he rest in peace. He passed away, unfortunately, a few months ago, but he was the founder of Zappos. And they were the first holacracy organization. And it was just very, very interesting to me how you can build a horizontal organization and not a vertical organization, because those clearly don't work. Everybody hates working there and people are not aligned. Apparently, the majority of the employees are not even aligned on the company's goal and vision. They don't even know what they are. That's the statistic. So I love the approach. I'm going to definitely continue working in and learning about it and seeing how we can even implement those things in Solid Block. But I still am trying to get from you how Dash is different, let's say, from DAI. How are you different from other types of currencies?
Dash is actually very, very clear, right? The name says it already. It's Dash. It stands for digital cash. So it comes actually from, as a fork of Bitcoin in 2014, started to tackle some of the very evident issues of Bitcoin in that time that, by the way, are still very, very relevant. And this is number one, the transaction speeds. Number two, the transaction cost, right? And basically the fees you pay, right? In order to be a payment currency, you are a customer, you come, you buy something, you want a fast confirmation so you can leave, right? Or you don't want to buy a coffee, wait 60 minutes until the merchant says, yes, I have my 6 confirmations, sir, you can go, right? So this is where it all came from. Plus, there was a bit of a discussion, how can you improve anonymity and privacy in the Bitcoin network, right? This was another thing Dash tackled. And lastly, how can you run an organization behind it? And how can you actually incentivize people to be part of the network in a way that they do a job and get paid for it, right? So I think these were the angles Dash was approaching. And to be honest with you, I think they are very, very relevant now, the same as they were back then. To put it even different, this payment thing we do was in fact the first use case of cryptocurrency, right? And yet we are in 2021.
The only one, really, that holds water up until now.
Yeah, absolutely. But who does it? So this is why this case is still very, very relevant, right?
For sure.
So this is basically the past and where we are and what we're still doing, right? But I think blockchain is moving very, very fast. So for me, 2021, and I said it before, was already the year about DeFi. We are right now just released something called Dash Platform on Testnet, which is essentially the first big evolution of Dash since the OG protocol was created. And it enables some really, really cool new features. Essentially, it now enables a second layer on Dash. That means you can program now data apps on it. We have something we call data contracts, similar to smart contracts. We have a decentralized API. We have decentralized cloud storage. We will switch from cryptic public keys to usernames. So there's a lot of really cool stuff coming up.
Features.
And this platform, these features enable you to be part of all that DeFi movement, right? So my narrative is now saying we come from actually, it didn't change, because the narrative was be your own bank, right? It was be your own bank in the sense of control your money, pay what you want, right? And now even more, be your own bank, and you can integrate in all these crazy DeFi apps and all these, decentralized applications, decentralized finance into these building blocks, right? And this is what you can do with it. Yeah, that's another mouthful. You can do everything with it,
Yeah, let's dissect everything that you just said, because again, I think it's going to sound like Chinese to many people. So first of all, let's go into decentralized finance. What is decentralized finance?
Well, decentralized finance in one sentence is basically it's finance in a decentralized way. So what does that mean, right? It sounds a bit ridiculous. The thing is, if I would be sitting next to you, right, I can give you $5. And these $5, a $5 bill, right, it exists only one time, right? Digitally, this always has been an issue in the history of the internet, in the history of digital money, essentially, right? Blockchain came in with the value proposition, say, now we have digital originals. tamper-free originals, right?
Yeah.
Before, if I send you an email, for example, right? I don't send you the original of the email. I send you the copy of the email because there is still something I send you from something, I don't know, from Google to Hotmail, right? Now we have an email that is on Hotmail and on Google, right? It's just a copy. I don't send the original. So blockchain solved that problem, and now we have originals, right? So now we can do a lot of it. And if you think about it, everything you know in finance, everything you know in banking is based on this principle, right? That we have an original and we can assign ownership to an original and we can be sure that there's no double, right? So payment was the first use case, and Bitcoin essentially can do exactly one thing, which is transferring a Bitcoin from from A to B, from person A to person B, right? Then Ethereum came along and said, okay, but actually you can build it like the internet. So you can not only transact the coin from A to B, but you can build whatever kinds of applications you want on that principle, right? So people started to go crazy, and obviously the lowest hanging fruit is do everything that is already successful in finance and do it in a way that you don't need a middleman in between, right? Because the only way to send $1 from me to you digitally was by using a bank, which is a third party. This third party is slow, it's expensive, it sometimes censors you. If you're from the wrong country, your money is gone, and so on and so on and so on, right? So digital finance takes this bank out, takes this middleman out, and enables you the same what you can do plus whatever is in your fantasy and that you want to do, right? So let's say you want to take a loan. You don't have to go to the bank. I have Bitcoin. I can put them somewhere. I can take a loan in digital US dollars, right? I want to have, I don't know, I want to make a copy of an Apple stock. I can do it, right? I want to,
I
do
love
whatever, I can do it.
So in a nutshell, decentralized finance is what we see in tradition, the features and the services and the products we see right now, we see in a traditional finance, but in a disintermediated manner. And the cool thing about DeFi that I see is just like, let's say you have a totally new tech and you don't even know which features and products and services that tech enables, right? So that were not available before that tech came about, right? So before we had Airbnb, we didn't even know we could store our luggage in a hotel nearby and have like a geolocation app to locate that hotel for you, right? So before we had DeFi, decentralized finance, we didn't know about these new types of services that you can get with DeFi that you couldn't get with traditional Fi, right? I wish there was a short name for it, right? Traditional finance. But yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Felix. That was actually very, very good.
If I may add one more thing here. And I think this is eye-opening for most people, right? For me, the best way actually to explain this is also not, this was very abstract, this explanation, right? But just look at where money is made in finance right now, right? And most of the way money is moved around the world, which is obviously for a long time digital, which is obviously on, NASDAQ, Dow Jones, the Forex, all these kind of different markets, right? What is happening there? It's always people exchanging something to another thing, right?
Yes.
And in the middle is kind of a stock market that is taking a fee to do this, right?
Right.
What one thing that decentralized finance is offering, this is why it's so important to kick out these middlemen, right? Is saying now somebody build a protocol and everybody can use this protocol, right? And in the case of exchanging, now we have a situation where instead of being the stock market who has an order book and people change on this order book, now everybody can be part of this order book and say, I throw money in there. I put $1,000 into this pot and I put €1,000 and now people can exchange from the money I put in there. And because they exchange, I profit from it, right?
That's
so kind of we take a business model apart, and the same what you just said with Airbnb, right? We don't need booking.com anymore who takes 30% from the hotels, and we don't need, a ridiculous hotel fee. I can put it directly on the platform, right?
That's
now we can even kick out Airbnb in this example, right? And distribute the fees we pay to Airbnb to whoever built the protocol or whoever participates, that it's successful.
Okay. So that's very, very innovative. I love it. So what can be bought with Dash today?
Basically, a lot of things. That's a good thing about payment. And that's one of the great things about being this payment token. Payment is everywhere, right? In every industry, through all the verticals. So there is no limitation. I guess what we really focused on the last years was a lot of retail, online, offline. I mentioned before we built even, here this ecosystem in Thailand where you can go out to restaurants, the noodle shop, things like that. Obviously, on a lot of online retail, and where it wasn't available for things like Amazon or something, there were many people who sold you gift cards in crypto, and you can get, even for your $50 in Dash, you can even get $55 or something on Amazon. So we had a lot of offers there. There's a lot of mobile prepaid cards, application, gift cards, gambling, gaming. In the States, it was even marijuana became a very interesting thing also for a lot of the banking regulations in the background, right? Because if you are a dispensary in the States, as my understanding, you still are not really allowed to have a bank account, right? Because there is like a gap between national and regional law. And, you can find ways to make the things better for people with crypto here.
Amazing. So now, as of this week, you're also going to be able to buy real estate with Dash, right? So that's actually a mutual, I guess, initiative that we're doing at Solid Block. We want to make real estate available to everybody and anybody in the world, any investor, and to be able to partake of this basic asset class, and to do that, to be able to come into an asset at any time. So as a part of our initiative, we wanted for the Dash community to be able to also have access to a real estate product. So we actually just integrated Dash into our platform. In 2 days, I believe we're announcing that Dash users can come and buy fractional real estate, tokenized real estate. How cool is that?
I'm super excited. What do you think?
I think that we're making history here because, number one, real estate tokenization by itself, even though it's not a completely decentralized process as of today, but, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? But it's creating a way for people to come and participate in an asset class that was off limits to a lot of people. Either they don't have a bank account, or they don't have a huge amount to invest, or they just can't stand having an illiquid asset. They need to make sure that there is money for them to be used. By the way, one of the assets we actually have in the pipeline is a hotel in Thailand, which I think could be really cool. So we're launching with this product called London Digital Bond, and it's a yielding product. It's literally a bond that people are investing. So they're lending money to the company where it goes to buy real estate in London, single family real estate, which is 20-30% discounted because of COVID, because the owners need the money and different reasons, and then kind of fixes them and sells them at a much higher price and distributes the profits. So just your general fix and flip, but on a very big scale. So when people are coming to and investing their Dash or any currency, what they're getting back is a stable return of 10 to 15%. So which is quite different from the crypto, right? You said it went up by 100%, but I guess you never know what will happen, especially this money that now you earned. A lot of people are saying it's good to park in a more stable kind of asset.
If I may add here, and this is a very, very interesting point you're just mentioning, it's, of course, yeah, you can have 100% assets, blah, blah, blah. But right now we're in a situation, I think this is the narrative of 2021 that is really changing right now. People are realizing there is a problem out there, that government banks are printing money like crazy, devaluating fiat currencies, right? And you hear Michael Saylor going all around saying, it's like we are devaluating by easily 15% per year, right? So in a situation where I have my savings on a bank account where I get 0% interest rate, in the worst case, even pay the bank to hold my money, and I lose 15% per year on this money because it's devaluating, right? It's really about getting new options, right? And obviously, I think every financial advisor will tell you to not put all your eggs in one basket, and especially not one that promises you like 100% of returns, right? So be clever and hedge your money. So, in that sense, for me, what DeFi is bringing along is a lot of different investment options, right? And I find exactly that angle you just mentioned very, very interesting, because there is real estate, and real estate, is a very long tested form of investing. But as you also mentioned, it was not open for everybody, right? It was very hard to get into that, blah, 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 right? Now with crypto, you can do it much easier, and you can generate yields, and you can generate yields in a much more easy way, right? And this can be, part of your portfolio. course, I'm happy if everybody holds only Dash, but it's also okay to hedge risks.
Absolutely. Not only that, but we give the option to provide the 10 to 15% interest in Dash, right? So it's cultivating Dash technically, right? And through a process that is highly compliant in the traditional world. So I think it's a win-win because the base asset is a stable real world asset that is generating income, which at the end of the day is transferred into Dash, right? So you can still hold Dash. Yeah, it's basically like keeping it stable, stabilizing protocol almost, right? Through the real world asset. Amazing. So
yeah, I guess what I'm really excited about is really, the factual options, people can do something with it, right? And this is also for me from a narrative, and you said it now also many times, don't talk too much nerd, people don't understand it. It's really on us to take people's hand and give them an easy story to understand. And I think actually, and this is why I'm really happy and excited about this, it's a very clear value proposition, right? There's property that has certain criteria, be it a hotel in Thailand, be it the property in the UK or wherever it is, right? I remember you had something in Aspen as well, right? So probably there's a lot in the pipeline and a lot of countries in the pipeline. So, hey, that's a clear value proposition. You can buy a property in Dash. You can have a part ownership on that, right? Why not try it out?
Exactly. Well, I'm very happy for all the Dash users to try it out. So I want to conclude with you describing and painting me a picture of where you see yourself in 5 to 10 years, maybe where you see the world in 5 to 10 years.
Honestly, I don't know where crypto will be next month.
You'll see yourself on the moon next to Elon Musk on Mars.
What I've learned in crypto is that you really don't know how fast things can happen and how fast, things are suddenly there and kind of everything is different suddenly. So I hope I see myself adapting to all this and continuously evolving and continuously, exploring and being excited about it. My focus has been, and I think will continue to be, really telling good stories, creating businesses and creating, real usage around all that stuff, right? And kind of trying to talk less nerd and more make people understand what they can do with it, how they can use it and develop practical solutions in that sense. Yeah, I hope I can do that for quite a long time, I believe.
I love that. So I think that your move probably can be from teaching at the school in California you're teaching and go teach kindergarten or elementary school. Then you learn. I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and every night we have this book of 1,000 questions and answers. And I realized I don't think I knew how magnets worked, or maybe I learned it many years ago, but learning so many things and actually breaking them down on that level. So that's why I told you, explain it to me like I'm 5 and I'm learning how to do that. So
yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Felix, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. It's fascinating. I mean, the DAO concept, you have to wrap your head around it, but I think that's where organizations are going. Frankly, that's where they will be. That's where I think 5 to 10 years, we'll see things completely differently. In decentralized
Fantastic
finance.
Last point, by the way. Everything, if you don't try it out, you don't know. And it's with so many things in life like that, right? I can seriously, from the bottom of my heart, tell you, if you read about DeFi, you will not get it. You have to try it. You probably have to make some mistakes on the way. And it's the same with the DAO, right? The moment somebody tells you about it, it's like, yeah, okay. But the moment you're inside something, an organization like this, it's mind-blowing.
I know. Amazing. Well, I encourage everybody to go and read about it and be a part of it. You can be a part of it by joining Dash. You can be a part of it by using Dash to buy a London digital bond. And I want to check out your new platform too. It sounds really fascinating when you do decentralized APIs. I mean, we don't have time to really get into it, but that's a fascinating concept, right?
Absolutely. If you are interested, or if anybody from the listeners is interested, reach out to me on Twitter, Felix Mago _dash, or on LinkedIn, Felix Mago, MAGO. And I'm super happy to again promote this incubator concept, because it's not only the DAO, probably the very easy way is to build stuff on Dash. So if you are anyone who is a developer who is interested in learning more, just shoot me a message. I'm happy to forward you all the information. It's really worth trying. And obviously, we're trying to bring in a lot of devs and a lot of interested people to build stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really, really cool. So thank you for joining me on the Block Solid podcast. It was great having you on. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or by visiting our website, solidblog.co/podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate and review and spread the word. Thank you.